Thank you for listening to the BJJBrick podcast. We'll be bringing you Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and good times. We hope to flatten your Jiu-Jitsu learning curve, help you get the most out of your grappling ability, and meet your goals both on and off the mat.
Welcome back, my friends. We're here for episode 44 of the BJJBrick podcast. We're glad you're joining us here today. And as usual, I've got Byron here by my side.
That's right. Thanks, Gary. Today, we're going to be talking about developing a culture of learning and leadership at your BJJ gym. And whether you're a white belt that has no stripes or a black belt, this is important to listen to, and this will help grow your gym and the jiu-jitsu community that you live within in your city or town. Yeah,
and like you said, it doesn't matter if you're the black belt or if you're a white belt. Basically, you can have a position of leadership. Somebody comes in behind you. You've only been to 3 classes, but that's your friend or whatever, and you get them to start. They're looking to you for guidance. So basically, learning and leadership, it doesn't really matter what belt. It's just you got to take it on yourself to make your gym better.
Absolutely. I agree with that entirely, Gary. Leadership isn't about how good you are at jiu-jitsu. It's more a personality trait. And who you are. Like, let's make it real simple. If there's 2 girls in your gym, and you're one of them, and this is your 3rd day, and then another girl comes into the gym, suddenly she sees you as somebody who she can go to for advice or for anything about training or anything for jiu-jitsu. You're one of the top ones, even probably above some of the instructors, just by you having that bond together on your 3rd day.
Yeah.
You know so much more. You learn so much your first day you don't even realize. You learn how the class is organized, the structure, what kind of teaching methods they use. So, you're instantly able to use that to help people.
Yeah, and that's a hard thing, stepping in that gym the first time. And that's why it's so important to have, I know we talked back one of the first episodes about inviting your friend to class. You're basically taking on a leadership role of that. You're explaining how everything works, what a typical class is going to be like, what you need to bring, and that's leadership 101 right there for you.
Yep, and let's get this straight. Leadership isn't about getting people to do things for you. That's not what we're talking about here. Yeah. That's ridiculous. Leadership is helping people bring themselves up, and helping accomplish their goals with a little bit of guidance if you're able to.
And that's the one thing I found about jiu-jitsu. And I was actually talking about that when we were rolling this morning at Open Mat with one of the guys I was rolling with today. But jiu-jitsu, it seems like everybody you meet's a really good guy, and they're all trying to help you. It's kind of a weird sport because these are guys you may face in a tournament, especially at Open Mat if you're from another gym. But everybody is just so helpful with knowledge, and if you say, hey, I've got a injury, they'll train around it. It's a cool sport like that. I actually like that. But speaking of injuries, it's one of our articles we're going to talk about today is adventures in tapping. But we'll get to that in a little bit.
Right. Before we get to the article, let's get the quote of the week from our friend Ken Pramola. Last week's interview. Hopefully you caught the interview last week, but if you didn't,
cross the line. If you didn't, cross the line and check it out.
Yeah. Go back and you got to cross the line, my friends.
You definitely have to. I need a shirt that says cross the line. Yeah, definitely in the right way. But so if you missed it last week, check it out. Kemper Mola, I love BJJ.com. But let's get to his clip.
I'm gonna use a quote that we talked about earlier because I think it's extremely important. And I'm gonna say this: if you are tired, don't show me. And that is something you need to tell yourself in everything you do in life, and that's going to help change the perspective and realize that a lot of things are smaller than we think, and we think they're such a big deal and they're painful. But once you start to block it out and realize that it's just nothing, then you start to realize that you can do a lot more.
If you are tired, don't show me. That having time to think about it a little bit. It has 2 things for me. One, I talked about with Ken when I interviewed him, is that it's not good for competition. Let's say you're actually competing and you roll off to the side of the mat and you are tired, and so is the other person. And now you got to recenter in the middle of the mat, okay? One guy gets up and walks, and the other guy crawls back. Okay, what does that say mentally about the guy that's crawling back to the competitor?
Yeah, it's time to put the pressure on this guy. I'm putting him to sleep.
And then the other thing, if you're tired, don't show me, is that when I tell myself I'm tired and I don't act tired, I don't feel as tired as I actually am. Like, I can lay there on the mat after we roll for a few minutes and kind of just lay there like a lazy bum, or I can get up and walk around. And I feel better when I get up, even though I'm exhausted. And
I kind of think it goes back to his what he talked about last week, crossing the line. I think they kind of go together. You're tired, and like he said, you can cross that line, and really what has changed? You're putting yourself in that bad position. Just keep going. Keep giving her everything you got. Don't show it. Just keep going. It's not as bad as we think it is, as he said there.
Yeah, I know that I've been in times rolling with somebody, and it's like they won't stop. This guy, he doesn't get tired. He doesn't get tired. But actually he is tired, and I can't see that. I can't feel that in him. And then when we're over, he's more tired than I was.
Yeah.
And I almost basically quit because I was too tired. It's like, man, that's some good rolling right there. That's good mental advantage over somebody.
Yeah, because it is mental. I mean, like I said, there's times where I'm rolling with a guy who just doesn't stop, and it'll break you mentally.
Absolutely.
I need to work on crossing that line so I won't break mentally.
Yeah. That's good good advice for everybody, Gary, not just yourself.
Yes.
All right, that music rolling in tells us it's time for the article of the week. Dirty White Belt. It's a BJJ blog.
Dirty White Belt. Love that name.
If you're new to Jiu-Jitsu, you're not supposed to actually wash your belt, which I started doing recently anyway, but it refers to the belt getting dirty with use and time and training hard. I wash my belt because I don't want to. I'm not superstitious, for one, and not washing 1% of my uniform is not really acceptable to me. And so I'm not superstitious. I have no skill in my belt, like they say. It's you, it's not your belt. So
it also goes back to that song, "Dirty White Boy." That's kind of what it reminds me of, right there. Yeah,
that's an old song. But he says the title is "It Takes a Very Steady Hand or Foot," and this is an article that talks about getting injured and how to train.
And that's one thing. We are going to get injured in this sport. You're going to get injured in any sport. I don't care if you're playing basketball. And it seems like I get injured more playing. I just got an injury playing softball. I tweaked my right hamstring, and then a couple of weeks later I was playing soccer and I tweaked my left hamstring, and all in that time I played softball once, soccer once, and I rolled jiu-jitsu probably 20 times. No injuries doing jiu-jitsu. So
to be fair, you're pretty damn good at jiu-jitsu, Gary. I don't know how good you are at softball.
I'm pretty good at softball. I don't know about soccer, though. Well, I don't know how good I am at softball.
Any funny things happen while you were playing that caused that? You just slide into second base?
It was actually in the second inning, but I was playing shortstop, and the first guy hits the ball to me, and I stop it, and as I go to throw to first, I fall. Never even got to throw off to first, but being a jiu-jitsu guy, I didn't fall just like most people fall. I ended up doing a somersault coming up. So,
boom.
But then I ended up bottom of the second I batted, and I got a double, and as I was the next guy up hit a single, and I was rounding third to go home, and I slowed down a little around third to see if I should go or not, and next thing I know I felt my hamstring tweak.
Oh man.
And my third base coach is telling me to go, and I was like, I can't run. So it was pretty comical.
Pretty comical for everybody else.
Yeah, not for me.
When you say the guy hit the ball to you and you stopped it, you know what I had in my mind was probably me playing softball and me actually stopping the ball from passing me. Like it hits my glove and hits the floor, and then I got to pick it up and then throw it.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing you actually caught the ball.
No, actually that's what I did. It was a ground ball, and it kind of hit off the thumb of my glove and went to the ground, but I still had more than enough time to get the guy. So I reached down to get it, and my feet got shuffled up, and I fell. But Like I said, because of jiu-jitsu, I turned it into a nice little roll or whatever.
Roll.
But everybody laughed at me. But.
You probably came up looking for a guillotine and you had a damn softball in your hand.
Yeah. Oh, well.
But the article starts off by saying, you can't train without some risk of injury. And that's true. Like you said, you can do anything, and there's risk of injury.
Yeah.
And if you do nothing, there's guarantee that you aren't going to be healthy.
Well, yeah, and there's a risk of injury. I tell you, if you're not training, your back muscles aren't being trained, your stomach muscles aren't being trained, you get up out of your chair, you tweak your back. You reach up high into the cupboard to grab a ho-ho, you break your back, you tweak your back.
There you go.
So, yeah.
Put them down low.
Yeah. Put them down low. Well, then you bend over and you tweak your back.
Oh.
You need to put them
At
chest level.
Mouth level.
Yeah, mouth level.
Make it easy for yourself.
Yeah.
Let's get back to the article. It's always fun when we do these episodes with me and Gary, because we do get off topic a lot more, than we do with when we have an actual interview. So this is gonna be a good time, guys.
We'll try to stay on topic.
But he talks about Jeff talks about the risk of re-injury and the reward that you get of training, and that's basically what the article is about. Whether you should actually be off the mat, or maybe you could alter your training a little bit and stay on the mat. And my friend Gary is a master about this. His game, which is a really good game, he's developed while he's been injured most of the time.
Yeah, and I tell you, it seems like I do get a little more injuries than the normal person. I don't know why that is, and considering I try to train real technical, but I think it might have to do with my age, but who cares, as long as I still can get on the mat and train. But I notice every time I try to find a way to keep training. I don't care what my injury is, I'll find a way to train. And I've noticed that it makes my game better. If I don't have a limb or I'm handicapped in some way, I have to find a way to overcome it. I get better at other things. I get better at defending that. And I notice that when I do get healed, my game I've added little parts to my game, and I think it's helped me by as much as trying to stay on the mat as possible. But on the side thing is I don't want to get re-injured, so I got to watch who I'm rolling with. I don't want to roll against the brand new guy that bench presses 500 pounds and is very, very competitive. I need to stay away from that guy. I need to roll with Byron or other guys, who are going to be nice to me if they get me in a bad position.
And I don't bench anywhere near that much.
Yeah, Byron only benches 495. Those are 495-pound dumbbells.
Oh, Gary, I'm in over my head already. The article is funny. It's got, that old game, Operation?
Oh, that was the best game ever.
That
you had to have the steady hand.
Was terrible.
The rubber band was awful.
But he takes the operation picture and he makes a chart with it, and he puts a number assigned to each of the injuries that you might get.
Yeah.
For example, he has rib injuries, which he's had that, and a rib injury takes you out. It's hard
rib
to do
injury is
anything.
brutal.
So he gave that a 10 because a 10 is so hard to train. You might just stay at home and watch videos.
Yeah, your rib is your core. Every movement you're making is going right through there.
So check out he's got a fun picture there. He called it Operation BJJ. Go to his website or go to the notes and click through to find it.
I love the pink eye one.
Get off the mat if you have pink eye.
Yeah, definitely. Pink eye, ringworm.
Yep. But then he lists everything. Neck and back, he says that's a wide range between 1 and 10. You have a little tweak in your back, no big deal. If your back's pretty jacked up, it's a 10. You're staying at home in bed. Yeah.
He does have on their pec injury, and he put it 5. Painful, not devastating, unless a big tear. And I'd like to give a shout out to my training partner, Mike Canfield, because I hate to say it, but I was training with him one day and tore his pec with a Kimura. So, sorry, Mike. Mike would say it was more than a 5.
I think it's actually a 6. You're just looking at my crappy printer there.
Oh,
it looks like a 6 to me.
Yeah, you're right. It is a 6. But Mike told me his felt like a 16 on a scale of 10.
He's no math magician, but he's pretty good at the math too.
And it's pretty bad because he's a financial advisor and he's not good with math.
Finger and hand injuries are about a 3. You just have to adapt your game. You're not going to play a heavy grip game with the gi.
Yeah.
But just deal with it, Get out there and keep training, tape them up, and don't rely on your grips so much. Like Gary says, maybe you have a big grip game, but not using your grips for a while. Isn't it actually going to hurt you in the long run? Yeah, you won't roll as good that day.
Yeah.
You're
probably going to get smashed a little bit, but your feet are going to become better with your hooks. Your hips are going to move better. You're going to protect different things better. So, it's a win-win. In the short term, you may end up getting smashed or getting beat, but, man, it's practice. Who cares?
Absolutely.
It's all about learning.
That's the reason why Gary does good at this, because he'll roll when he's a little injured, and he doesn't care that if the injury is the main reason why he gets beat up on, because he's figured out ways to train better. And so what? He's got a busted up elbow or something, and he gets tapped a little easier because he can defend himself. It doesn't really bother him. He just keeps training.
Yeah, just shake hands and go at it again. Yeah.
So have that. I would recommend that attitude if you're going to go in a little bit hurt. You don't want to go in and get re-injured or go in when you're not ready. But when you can go in and you feel like you're able to protect yourself and roll a little bit differently, go in. But do know in advance that you're not going to be the same person when you start off with this injury.
Yeah. I mean, that's a great article. Just everything about that, because we are going to go through that.
He does mention the classic. Old remedy is called RICE, rest, ice, compression, and elevation. And he says, I'm good at ice, not rice, because the rest part is no, he's good at.
Yeah, I don't think very many people do the compression or elevation part.
Yeah. Take ibuprofen and complain to your buddies that you got a little bit banged up.
Yeah.
It's basically.
Yeah, I like that because, I'm not good at the rice part either, especially the R. I'm good at the rice with 2 eyes. Ibuprofen and ice. Not good at the compression or elevation part.
Elevation, put a movie in and put your injury.
I figure I get compression rolling anyhow because people are going to be on top of me. That's my compression.
Nice.
And elevation, I guess, is when I get swept. So there.
So check it out, my friends. Thank you, Jeff, for writing the article.
Great article, Jeff.
Yep, it's on Dirty White Belt. It takes a very steady hand or foot. And check out do check out the graphics if you played the game as a kid.
It's and like Byron said, we're all going to remember that rubber band. Nobody could get that. And that stupid humerus bone or whatever. I don't know what bone it was, but I could never get it out without it buzzing.
Yeah. The key is to unhook the buzzer or take out a battery.
Yeah, when you're playing.
Yeah.
And then hook it up when it's somebody else's
turn. That's pretty tough. Or to bump the table or bump the little board when somebody else is playing.
Yeah. I know I'm getting off topic again, but remember the football game where the table buzzed
I didn't have that.
and the guy just went in circles?
I never had that one.
Yeah. All you younger folks probably don't know what we're talking about because these games are so old. But Operation, I think, is still around.
But it's not on the... there's no iPad Operation or none of that.
Yeah.
Probably. Basically, it's a game with some guys laying on this board, and it's just... He's, for all intents and purposes, naked, but he doesn't really have like a body. And he's got little holes cut out in his body that you have to take the little tweezers and reach into the hole and take a piece of him out, like you're doing surgery. And it's all metal. Yeah. So when you touch the side, it buzzes at you and his nose lights up like Rudolph. So that's Operation.
The good old days. I remember that.
Good old days, a classic. Classic game that you love to hate.
Yeah.
And probably motivated a few people to become doctors, to be honest.
I don't know about that, but maybe it did.
Maybe it did. All right, Gary, we've got our topics of the day here, developing a culture of learning and leadership. Some of these are a little overlapping. Let's start with learning here. Something that I think is important to help somebody with their learning of a certain area is to recognize that they're improving at that. If somebody's starting to get a pretty decent arm bar, tell them, hey, that's a good arm. Even if they don't get you with it or if they don't get that other guy, that's pretty darn tight,
That's one thing I think that's lost, not just in jiu-jitsu, but in today's society. Just a little pat on the back. That goes so far. I mean, how great is it to have your instructor, say, hey, man, Gary, your arm bar is really doing great. That's going to make me feel great for a long time and, coming from my instructor.
I mean, a lot of learning in the culture is motivation. If you're excited about learning something, and that's even recognized that you're doing better at that, that's even more motivation for you.
Yeah, yep, and you're not going to learn unless you're motivated. You have to be motivated. So, and that's a nice, easy way to keep somebody motivated. But I mean, don't necessarily tell somebody that if they're not improving.
Absolutely, make it genuine.
Yeah, if you see him over there rolling with somebody, and he catches a pretty good guy with an arm bar that he's been working on, don't forget to say, hey. And even if you're the guy who got caught,
that's even easier to me.
Yeah. Man, that's a nice arm bar. And then after your round, don't stop in the middle of the round. I see people do that. Hey, you just wasted your round. Wait till maybe after the class is over and everybody's quit, and then say, hey, Byron, can you show me that little arm bar you showed me?
Yeah. But to me, it's easier if somebody gets me with something, I can say that was awesome. I was fighting that hard because I think a lot of people realize I don't fight hard all the time.
Yeah.
But I do a lot of times. I'll start. Okay, I'm in trouble. Time to fight hard, and it's too late. I'm in it deep, or I'm not. They're good. They're better at me.
Yeah.
That's fine. But
and that's a compliment in itself.
It's
when you're rolling with somebody who may be in a higher level than you, and a lot of times they may not give it their whole 100%, their flow rolling with you. But then all of a sudden you lock something in tight and you see that guy take off like a wounded cougar, you just made that guy use all his energy. If you got the tap or not, you had him in a bad spot.
Yeah, and
which is compliment on
I
its
was
own.
trying hard to get out of that thing.
Yeah.
Or,
and
you
need to say
don't
that.
take away anything from what they just did. Also, don't big deal it either. I mean, don't,
because it is a big deal.
But don't make a big deal. Don't make it like if I'm watching Gary roll with somebody and Gary gets caught, I'm not gonna go give a high five to that other guy right in front of Gary.
Yeah, it's embarrassing.
Yeah, you don't want to.
And it's kind of like what we were talking about, the other day, article here in a couple episodes ago.
Yeah, from John Connors about the O sound.
Yeah.
Oh man, he's gonna get submitted. But that was a few episodes back.
Yep. And another thing too is keep trying new things. That's the way to get better. And we're not just talking the teacher, the students also. Just get out of your comfort zone. Try different stuff. And I was just talking to Byron here before the episode started, and Byron came up with a new drill for last Friday's competition class. Where I'll let Byron explain, but it was a new thing, something they hadn't done at the school, and Byron actually said it has already helped him out.
Yeah, it did. Basically, it's a defensive drill, which I like defensive drills not more, but I think they're overlooked a lot. But people want more offense. With you. But you basically lay there, and the person, your partner gets side control or mount, or any, or they get your back. We didn't do that yet, but and they go to work on you, and they're working hard. And your goal, the bottom person, is to use minimal energy and to try not to get tapped. Don't even worry about escaping. Just hang out, try to save energy, try not to even breathe hard, keep in tight and protect yourself. And it's funny because when I was the guy on top, I worked so hard to get a submission. And I really felt like my teammates all did a really good job of staying pretty relaxed down there. And vice versa. Like, these guys are working hard on me, but if I'm not, I'm just surviving. And maybe there's some mistakes I have when I try to escape sometimes, but you get caught sometimes or whatever, but it's good training. And today in open mat, I was rolling and I was stuck in a bad spot forever. And I'm like, okay, I gotta relax. I'm trying too hard to get out. Let's take a second here. I'll do that. I'll go back in that drill mode where I use minimal energy, and I'm gonna get caught. Who cares? And then maybe you can get lucky, find your way out. Save up a little energy or whatever. But staying calm and being able to relax. I actually thought of that drill when I was rolling, which is pretty rare for me to call that sort of thing.
That's awesome. I just thought it was neat when Byron was telling me about it and says he already tried it out today in real live grappling.
Yeah.
Just 2 days later, and it worked perfect.
And I like that. Keep trying new things. This is for not just the students, but also for the teacher. The good thing about jiu-jitsu is we don't have a lot of people going around like the old classic martial arts instructors that are like a wizard of martial arts, and they can touch you by looking at you, or they can kill you by looking at you funny. The people are real.
Yeah.
And it's okay if you don't know everything, and it's okay to try to learn a move and fumble through it a couple of times with a student and show that you're learning stuff. And if the teacher's willing to learn, the students will be willing to learn stuff as well.
Yeah, it just turned a learning atmosphere. If you see your teacher, doesn't know everything, isn't afraid to ask you for advice, or, hey, the teacher may have a great top game, but he may have a student who's got a great bottom game. Hey, get a little bit of hints from that person.
I remember, this is a while back, but
I'm nervous because I see Byron has a smile on his face.
No, I think at my first seminar was Eric Williams from Houston. And,
I was at that one, and
we eventually tested for our blue belts. But I was nervous because our instructor, John, was the guy. He knew jiu-jitsu. Nobody else knew jiu-jitsu in the room. And suddenly, Eric shows up. He's got a black belt. Okay, what's John going to be like with this guy knowing? John thought it was awesome. Like, I was nervous that, like in traditional martial arts, if somebody knows more than your instructor, is that like an insult to the instructor? But no, like in jiu-jitsu community, it's awesome if you have somebody even better in the room. I mean, it's respected. It's looked after to find better people to keep bringing in and training with. So that's a good thing about the community. But do remember that it does create a learning environment when everybody is trying to learn things.
Yeah, definitely.
I like to the importance of having a system to teaching and orders to the class. It helps the students know what's coming next. Not to have a random class every day that is just kind of crazy for them. And they don't know. Okay, what do we do? Okay, we're just drilling all day. Okay, like if you have typical class might be a warm up and then some technique or some drilling, or it doesn't really matter what it is, but if it's structured in a way that it's predictable for the students, it'll help them kind of figure out, okay, this is the time I need to actually pay attention and pick up some new stuff here.
Yeah, definitely. One little thing I think I like, and I read an article about it, but that one class had the typical structure where you show up, you maybe do a little warm up, then you do some drills and maybe some light rolling, and then the real rolling or whatever. And this instructor was talking about how he had like 3 or 4 guys who would always show up really late just in time to roll. So he came up with the idea. He's like, I'm going to switch the next class around. We're going to roll right at the start. And I thought that was great. But, it really does help when you do have a structured system. You kind of know what's going on. Everything leads together. Like if my very first class, I'm learning a guillotine, and the next class I'm learning Barambola, do they go together? It's like you kind of almost, want to see a flow to what you're learning.
Yep. Have some structure, have some organization to the teaching schedule. It'll benefit the students.
Another good one is, don't necessarily teach, but help the students learn. And, I guess there's a, distinction between teaching and learning. You're not just preaching, that you got to do this, you got to do that. You're down showing. You're actually kind of like what we talked about before, getting advice from other people who may be better,
Yeah.
Like you go back to John. I remember John really wasn't a wrestler, but I remember we had some wrestlers in the class, and when we do takedowns, a lot of times John would have them show.
Yeah.
And, Lauren especially. And,
absolutely.
You've got a very good wrestler, maybe pass it off to somebody who's got better knowledge. We're all learning that way.
Yeah. And when I think of somebody teaching, I think of me sitting there in 5th grade, staring at the chalkboard, and the teacher just boring me to death.
Like, you couldn't even keep your eyes open.
The whole class. But when I'm learning in the same classroom as when the teacher comes around and sees my terrible work on my paper, it's like, no, you got to do it this way. That's when I actually learn. Like, don't just teach it. Actually communicate. Teaching, helping people learn is actually like a communication process versus just the.
It really is, and the thing is, everybody learns differently.
Yeah.
Some people. I'm always jealous of the guy who can see one move online and remember it, or look in a book and see one move and remember it. Go to Barnes and Noble and look at the book and remember it. I'm not that guy.
Yeah.
I have to watch it 100 times over, and books don't help me as much. I have to, really just sit there and picture it in my mind, and I need to use my wife or my dog as my training partner, trying to figure it out.
Moving the couch.
Yep.
Time to do a little bit of training at home. Another thing on our list here is the difference between experience and being taught. we do learn more from experiences than we do from being taught something. And that could be, the experience of competition or the experience on the mat. Like, think about being shown a move and doing it, a dozen times in class, try to figure it out, and then trying to do the move while you're rolling. The first time it probably won't work. The second time maybe, but if you can pull it off while you're actually rolling, it's going to be a lot more likely that you are able to retain that technique.
Yeah, definitely. And I was talking to Byron about this a little bit earlier, but I like a little quote Byron said, but people learn more in the field than at school. And I bet I can say this for Byron. If you don't know, which means you haven't been listening to a show, but Byron is a firefighter. And I guarantee you he learns probably more every day on that job, going to calls and, helping out sick people or fighting fires than he probably did in your academy when you were at school.
Yeah, I learned quite a bit in my academy, but it's different. And actually
it's a controlled environment.
In next week's episode, we talk a little bit about this. But yeah, it's different.
Yeah.
I mean, you can only have somebody act like they're hurt, and that only does so much for you than if somebody's actually hurt.
Yeah. But yeah, I think that's. I like to equate it as. I still have to do the drills and learn everything. You can't get rid of that. That's going to be your muscle memory. That's going to increase your myelin. That's just going to... You got to learn the moves. But I really think that some people don't spend enough time on the mat actually rolling. And I feel that's where I learn the most. And I'm on the mat, something's not working, even though I've learned it. Then I go back to square one. I'm like, hey, Byron, do you want to work a little bit? I'm trying to figure this out. And then I break it down, maybe even do that slow technique we talked about, and fix that hole, make myself better at it, and then go back on the mat and try it. It's like I can go to flight school and learn to fly a plane, but I got to actually get out to fly the thing to get better.
Yeah, because it's not the same feeling to sitting in a little computer simulator.
A simulator.
Yeah.
Yep.
But my thing, if Gary goes to flight school, I need to go not on your first flight, but after you've been a few times, then all right, maybe.
Yeah. That's what we need, like a jiu-jitsu simulator.
It's like one of those full body machines you go in there and it just beats the crap out of you.
Somebody please invent a jiu-jitsu simulator, and if it's affordable, I will tell you I'll buy it.
It looks like earmuffs and it just beats your ears up. I think it's pretty cheap. Get some earmuffs, put some rocks in them, put them on your head, and then go jogging.
Perfect.
You're not going to get better at jiu-jitsu, but your ears are going to get really nice.
Yeah, so you'll look like you, and nobody will mess with you.
Yep.
Yeah. Also, one of the big things of learning is enjoyment. You definitely have to. It's kind of like what Byron said a minute ago about the teacher, and he's just falling asleep in class. I'm going to learn a lot better when I'm enjoying something, and your teacher has to have that enthusiasm, that passion. And I can go back, and I know Byron and I have talked about this before, but if you've ever got a chance to train with Justin Rader, we've done seminars with him or whatever, I've never seen a guy more passionate. And he held my attention, and like there's no way you could not have attention. The guy is just so passionate and just speaks so well that I picked up so much. I told Professor Rader he could be a motivational speaker if he needed to.
Yeah, he could.
Yeah.
He enjoys it.
Yeah. You can really see that's a big key right there. You said enjoy. You can see when somebody really enjoys what they're doing. You know, it's in their face. It's in their speech.
And he's got twice as good there because he enjoys grappling. And I think it looks like he enjoys teaching.
Yeah.
So that like it's twice as good. Like if you don't enjoy jiu-jitsu, like if you're doing it, I couldn't imagine you doing it and not enjoying it. Like why would you keep doing this?
Yes.
I mean, this is very hard. But let's say let's just not do jiu-jitsu. Let's say Gary and I play baseball, which we don't, every weekend at whatever.
Do you want to start playing?
No. I would get hurt.
We have interviewed Will from The Sandlot.
Yes, we have interviewed Will Hornet from The Sandlot movie. That's fun. But let's say we play baseball every time, and I don't enjoy it, and Gary loves it. Okay, what's Gary gonna do when he's not playing baseball? That I'm not gonna do. He's gonna go and he's gonna learn more about baseball. He's gonna watch baseball. He's gonna go online and find drills and stuff. He's gonna talk to people about baseball. Me, I'm gonna go home and I'm gonna do something else. I'm gonna go look at jiu-jitsu or whatever. Next weekend we come back together. Who's gotten a little bit better and who knows more about the sport than they did before.
But I tell you, you guys have not seen Byron's knuckleball. I can't hit it.
Nobody has seen it, and nobody's hit it. Not sure what that means, but does that have to do with the knuckle sandwich? Or?
See, he's always got to go back and threaten me with violence.
Another important thing, I think, with promoting a positive learning environment is to promote good peer relationships amongst students. Think back all the way when you were in school and some other kid was going to kick your butt. Well, how much did you learn that day?
No,
yeah,
none.
You didn't learn
scared.
nothing. Yeah. It was not a good day. But
I hated those days.
Even better, think of classes that everybody got along well and that good discussion was had and that, obviously if you're in class with your best friend sitting in the back of the class, you're not going to learn anything either. Like, you're just going to have a good time. Yeah. But if it's like a class where it's stimulating and it's a good relationship between the teacher and the students with the other students, that's a good learning environment.
Yeah. Have you ever noticed we've been to different schools and academies, but it seems like the schools where everybody's friends and they have barbecues every now and then or get-togethers. It seems like, the schools, nobody's afraid to talk. Everybody's there for each other. Those schools seem like they really excel. That's one thing I've noticed. They, really great technique. It's like you said.
I agree.
The peer relationship.
And it promotes students learning from each other. I mean, you have to have, and it's hard to say have good relationships with the students, have good relationships with each other. But you could encourage this by, like you're saying, by having like events off the mat.
Yeah. A lot of times you may have some super competitive people and you just see them in the competitive environment, in the gym. And you get a lot of people in the gym, they're super competitive and this and that. But I tell you, and that's all you know them, unless you get outside their comfort, get outside the gym atmosphere. You have a barbecue and everybody's just sitting around, drinking your beverages of your choice, eating chicken or pulled pork. And it's a different time there, You see this guy and you're like, man, we got so much in common, except I'm not as competitive as him. Yeah. So, yeah, definitely, it's always great, and you get to meet each other's families and stuff like that. I do
enjoy the Fox Fitness Christmas party. It's pretty fun usually.
Yeah.
But think about how well you know some of these people, and like the first time you meet their spouse, it's like, oh, there's like a whole other side of you outside the mat.
Yeah.
Like I know this person like really well,
and
here's your wife or husband that I have just barely met. Like that promotes a good learning environment. And this is off topic a little bit, but when you meet somebody's like a spouse or brother or somebody, it's you can be at the store and they can see your shirt and they ask you, oh yeah, I know Ryan or whatever. Brag about that person a little bit because it goes a long way.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that's true.
Say, oh man, he's been on it for about a year or so. He's gotten really good. He's really picked it up really well. You don't have to lie, but definitely don't say anything negative about it. That's ridiculous. No. But I brag them up. It doesn't hurt you at all.
But who does that to your buddies? It's like, man, to be honest, if anybody says anything bad about Byron, you're on my bad side. Really, I mean, it's that's my buddy. Don't talk bad about him.
Well, thank you, Gary. I feel like I just got that little bit of a bodyguard there. If only it works so good online.
I just actually met Byron today. I think another big thing is when your instructor actually gets on the mat with the students. And I can tell you, I see so many, 2 and 3 month white belts, their face lights up when they tell me their instructor got on the mat with them.
Yeah.
And, it's a great learning experience. The first couple of times you're just like, oh, man, I didn't know somebody could be this good. But, you're learning so much from getting on the mat with them. It's a lot of times you can watch the rolling, but you may miss something that you don't see.
Yeah.
A lot of times the body's covering something up or you get to the point you've been rolling so long, you can feel pressure and you can feel when somebody's off balance or whatever. It may be hard to see, but, you need to get on that mat and teach that way a lot of times too, just by rolling.
Yeah, you'll be able to, for the instructor's purpose of better teaching, you'll be able to feel some of the mistakes better than you could see them.
Yeah.
Like, this is not tight at all. It looked pretty good when you were over there, but no, you're not.
Yeah,
you haven't got this yet.
Feels like I got feathers on top of me.
Why can't I finish my triangle? Well, put me. That's what I used to say. My triangle, I can't finish it. Well, put me in the triangle, and I want to feel what you're doing. I can't watch. You can for some reason, but I want to feel what you're doing, and then we'll work on it.
Yeah. Yep. Definitely.
Another thing that you could do to help promote a learning environment as an instructor or as a student is have the students figure things out for themselves a little bit. Like if they keep, if they want a better armbar from the side control, how do I get a better armbar? Okay, I'll show you. That's fine. But really, put them there and say, let's do some armbars and see what they come out. Do some positional sparring with what they're worried about or trying to work on. Put them in that situation with a partner. So if it's just you and you want to work on, finishing the rear naked choke, you need to find a buddy who will let you on their back and let you work with it.
And I think positional sparring is kind of overlooked. I know me and you used to do this all the time with a couple other people, and it really helped my game. And the one thing I really liked about positional sparring is no matter how competitive you are, it seems like I would see people not get upset if they got tapped out because they know they put themselves in a bad position. And as you were saying earlier, it seems like everybody's always just working on offense. But, I'm working on defense in that position too. If I'm on the bottom and you're working. So, I mean, it's a win-win for both things. But a lot of times, like, you're just figuring it out. It's not working. Let's put myself in that position. Let's start out slow and, troubleshoot. Yeah. And then let's build it up to full speed, but just positional sparring. I can't finish my Kimura from side mount. I put you on the bottom. We start out slow and I finally figure out, okay, this is what I need. And then let's speed it up a little bit. Let's do some live positional sparring rounds. If I don't get it and you sweep me, we start right back. We don't just keep going. And if you get tapped out, some of the people with the egos and everything, it's not as bad on the ego just because, it's like I started.
We're working
I'm already drowning right now. Yeah.
Yeah. And positional sparring is like a tool to help the students learn for themselves. Like, that's what I think of it. Make it real simple. It's just to help you learn for yourself. If you want to learn about this, positional spar, work on it a lot, and that tool is going to help you.
And I think what happens a lot of times that I see the difference between positional sparring and all-out sparring is all-out sparring a lot of times people are afraid to engage or, a lot of stuff doesn't happen. Maybe just hold position and not really trying. Where we're talking about, you got to try this stuff. But positional sparring, it seems like all the inhibitions just go away.
Yeah.
I'm just going to go for it. Who cares what happens?
I want to bring. That's a good point, Gary. So Gary and I are working on side control. So I'm top guy. I'm working on pressure. Working on submissions. Gary's bottom guy. He's working on escapes. Right. Am I going to stall as a top guy? Absolutely. Yeah. I have like a minute and a half, maybe 2, and then we're going to switch. No, I'm going to go all out. This is going to be. We're not talking about like a slow thing. We're talking about going at it.
Yeah, we're going at it.
Yeah. So for those 2 minutes, if I try an armbar and he busts out of it, I get side control again.
Yeah.
It's like it's a free deal.
Yeah, you don't just keep rolling like all of a sudden you bust out and you grab a front headlock and next thing you know you smash my head and take my
which
back.
Which encourages me to try like 5 armbars in 2 minutes.
Yeah, you're not afraid. I mean, and sooner or later you're going to get good in that position. And the cool thing is your partner's going to get good at escaping that position. So it's a win-win.
But do give the partner the opportunity to do the other one.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Hey, I want to get on your back for 70.
Yeah. Hey, can you spend your Friday night with me? And what I want you to do is I'm going to put you in bad positions for 2 hours. And I'm going to work my offense.
Typically, the way we do it is like 2 minutes rounds, and then flip. Like from side from bottom to top, and then. Yeah. And it works good if you have 3 people. Yeah. Because one will sit out for 2 minutes. Out. Yeah. 2 minutes is not a long time to sit out.
Because normally that 2 minutes going all out is tough.
Yeah. So just rotate.
Yep. Basically almost kind of like what we're talking about there, but, it's like trial and error. You've got to try stuff. I know we always talk about, the basics and this and that, but, sometimes you just got to try stuff. You're not going to win every time. You're going to get better by making errors, making mistakes. Yeah. And work from there and fine-tune everything.
Yep. Trial and error is big. That's how that's how you learn things. We're talking about learning while you're on the mat rolling and training versus while you're just learning the technique. That's trial and error is why you're learning that, because you're you're fixing tiny little mistakes you keep making until you get it right.
Yeah.
I like to another one here is encourage and answer like the why questions. And this can be a little bit annoying. Like if okay, well, I'm going to show a basic Kimura. If I get 3 why questions before I finish showing the technique at the beginning, that's a little frustrating and annoying. But so here's the Kimura. Do it 3 or 4 times. Okay, everybody go try it. Yeah. And then while you're trying it, you have a question for me that's good. Or we come back and we show some more detail. Questions then are better. But let the instructor show what they want to show before you hit them with
before
1,000
you hit
questions.
The why questions.
But by answering those and not making people feel like idiots for asking questions like that, they're more likely to remember them. If you say grab my arm this way, and I don't know, like, I don't know why you're going to grab that way. I'm not going to remember that. Yeah. I'm not going to remember why my hand is upside down or right side up. You know, I'm going to grab the collar with my thumb in or my thumb out. Like, I don't know. But if you explain to me, okay, this is going to put, you know, this part of your hand against the neck. So, you know, ask those questions when it's appropriate time. Or maybe a lot of times the person you're training with could answer those questions. Why are we doing our thumb in or the thumb out? Or, you know, why am I grabbing with just my palm instead of my thumb wrapped around their whole wrist? I mean, so a lot of times like we said, between peers, they could answer a lot of these questions.
Yeah. And Byron brought up a good point about, you know, promoting the learning and leadership culture, but encourage people to ask questions. Don't make somebody feel, you know, bad for asking a question, you know. And, you know, you don't want them asking the question, you know, while you're, you know, the why questions while you're doing it. But, you know, everybody learns differently. Some people actually have to, you know, really dissect everything. You know, they need to know the whys, the wheres, the whens. Other people just, you know, hey, I'm going to grab it this way, and it just flows. And I was always one of those slow learners, and I found my game got better when I started figuring out the whys part. You know, yeah. I used to be afraid to ask questions. You know, I guess it was just I looked at that hierarchy so much, which, you know, when you're at the bottom of the level, you're kind of like the new kid in school. You're kind of shy and afraid. That's kind of how I was, you know, at the lower levels where I didn't ask as many questions. And when I really did start asking questions and came out of my shell, that's when, you know, I really started getting better. You know, I started everything tied together. You know, also going into, you know, like I said a minute ago too, trial and error. You know, mistakes and failures are how you learn. Too many people get upset by making a mistake. It seems like we're a society of, you know, oh man, you made a mistake, that's an F. You know, we're graded on that. Man, the way to get better at jiu-jitsu and life, in my opinion, mistakes and failures. I learn from every mistake, and if you got to keep an open mind, because if you can make a mistake or failure and, you know, sulk and, you know, complain and have that negative attitude, you're not going to get anywhere. You need to keep that open mind, make mistakes. I'm going to learn from my mistakes. I love it when I make a mistake, especially in jiu-jitsu. It just makes me realize I got something to learn. I need to figure this out. I need to close the door on that mistake and try not to do it again. I know I'm going to do it again. Yeah. And the more times I do it, the more times I'm going to get better at shutting that mistake down that I made. So I personally like to make mistakes.
Yeah. He's not doing it on purpose. Yeah. But he's acknowledging, okay, that was a mistake. I'm gonna work on that. I'm gonna learn from it. Yeah. I have a new area to work on, and that's good.
You know, one of my favorite times when I'm rolling is I'm rolling with somebody who's really talented, and I kind of use an analogy like they're setting me up for a trap. Like, you know, they move my arm this way, and I kind of think they're getting this one arm, and next thing you know, they explode and take the other arm. But they made me move into their little trap, and you know, it's kind of like I fell for their mistake, but. Man, when I'm always done with that round, or even while I come in the middle of getting tapped out and I'm smiling from ear to ear, I'm like, man, great move. You know, you set me up for that. And I think that's so cool when somebody can lead me down to a path of destruction. Yeah. You know, they open that one little door and, you know, all I'm seeing is straight ahead. And I walk right down there. And next thing you know, my arm is straightened.
All right. That's the first half of the show, talking about learning, developing a learning environment. Let's get going with the second half, developing a culture of leadership. And that's what a good leader does. I mean, you don't need to have like people under you and keep them down. You need to you know, especially if the instructor takes a day off and the whole class falls apart, there's no leadership developed in the gym.
you have issues there, and I like what you said. You don't need to keep everybody down. It's all, you have to have people in different roles. Somebody who can take over, and it's not, leadership isn't just you do this, you do that. Everybody's underneath me. We all work together.
Like we were saying earlier, you don't need a black belt or a blue belt or anything to have a leadership role in your gym, or most of the stuff will go to work as well, or any relationship or anything in life. Like, this is more about people dealing with people and helping each other get better. But example we gave earlier, you're a new girl in class, and an even newer girl's having the first day. You could take it upon yourself to welcome her to the group, take that leadership role. This is my name is Byron. I hope you're not a girl named Byron, but sorry if you are. Sorry if you're a guy named Byron, but hey, we got to sit together as Byrons. But welcome them to the group. And if it's before class, say, kind of give them, have you been here before? Make sure you're not explaining something that somebody already knows. And if they haven't, explain what's going to happen. Give them a little rundown of, okay, first we're going to do some warm up, then we're going to drill. Then we're going to spar. They may or may not have you spar, but if you do, I'll be happy to spar with you, and we're going to have a good time.
Yeah. And that leadership role is key. Everybody has a position to grow their own gym. The better your gym grows, the more people you get in, the more skill level, the better you're going to be. And as your gym gets better, it's just going to keep growing. So we all need to, welcome the new person, take a leadership role and help people out, explain and make it easy for people. Introduce yourself. Introducing yourself is taking a leadership role. If you see a new guy walk in the door and your instructor's teaching a class and the person's looking around, and let's just say you're sitting on the sidelines, you're off that day, or you're waiting for the advanced class, to show up next, don't be afraid to help that person out. Welcome into the gym.
Yeah. So when we're talking about leadership, there's a meme out there, like a picture with little funny words by it or whatever. It's of these birds sitting on a wire, and there's one big bird at the top, and then there's like two birds below. If I find it, I'll put it on the website. And then it goes down, and there's more and more birds as it goes. And what's happening is the bird on the top he's the leader, and he's happy. And I've even seen this for jiu-jitsu, and I thought it was terrible. And it said black belt. Then the next step down is there's like two birds, and they're brown belts, and they've got a little bit of bird crap on them.
Yeah.
And so another step down, there's more birds, and there's way more crap on them from the two birds, all the birds above. And you get all the way down the white belt, and those birds are like caked in bird crap, man. That's not leadership. That's not how we run the show in jiu-jitsu. It's the responsibility of, in this example, would be the black belt to not do that, to not have that environment at your school. It's about helping people, not about using them as tools.
Yeah, it's definitely about helping people. We all
That's
help
the
each other get
kind of leadership that we're talking about today.
Yeah, yep. And another way, like your, instructor or assistant instructors or whatever, can show some leadership, but answer your students' questions. There is the old adage, there really is no thing as a dumb question. I may not totally get something. It makes no sense to me. To a black belt, sometimes it may just seem like the dumbest question ever. But, this will encourage, they see you answering the questions. This is going to encourage other students to help out the lower belts. You need to be an example of, we need examples of good students, good instructors. And, that's going to permeate through the gym. It's going to create a culture of learning, culture of leadership, and leadership is everybody helping each other out. But, nobody can be afraid to ask questions or you have to answer the questions. Don't just blow it off. And it's definitely a peer-to-peer learning process.
Another thing we have for developing leadership is to help build people's confidence with real feedback. If you've come in for 2 months now and you've learned absolutely nothing, I'm not going to give you a compliment. I'm not going to give you any positive feedback. Like, you've got to actually earn that. But to be honest, in a couple months, you're going to do something better that you didn't used to do.
Yeah.
But so tell them. People need encouragement. People need that sort of thing sometimes to help that, and they don't need it just from the instructor. As other students, you could recognize that and help build their confidence and take the leadership on that and help build the gym that way.
Yeah, and it's get to know everybody at the gym, and I say this to same thing in the workplace. Get to know everybody you work with. Say hi to everybody. Try to roll with everybody, and unless somebody's going to hurt you or whatever. But you got to be your safe part. But get to know everybody. Say hi. Shake their hand. Ask them how their weekend was doing. Try to learn a little bit more about each other, and that'll be easier to give that feedback, and it'll be easier for that person to take it. But you also have to realize too, I think sometimes some people have low self-confidence. I think you have to know that person so you don't crush them if you give them some bad feedback.
Yeah.
You have to see, that's why it's so important to know people. If you got somebody with very low self-confidence and one step away from quitting, and the next thing you know, you just tell them, you've got to be the worst jiu-jitsu guy I've ever seen. I mean, do you even have a brain between those ears? And you lost a student. And the next thing you know, that guy goes home and never trains again. It's all about
goes to the other gym where they actually encourage them.
Yeah,
and we're like, well, we'll work with what you got. You'll get better.
Yeah. It kind of reminds me of
student.
Yeah, it's kind of like when Daniel LaRussa tried to go to Cobra Kai and they wouldn't let him in. And he found Mr. Miyagi.
Yeah, he found somebody else to have that positive. Mr. Miyagi's a leader.
Yeah, definitely. And then look what he did with it. He won the All Valley Karate Championships.
Yeah, I don't remember the year, but that was a big deal.
Yeah, that was a big deal.
They made a movie about that. If you hadn't seen it yet.
Yeah, I think it's a true movie. Well, they made like 3 parts to it.
Yeah.
Another part about leadership is being positive. You have to have a positive attitude, and not just about training. You have to have a positive attitude about people. Can you imagine, like, you could be the best jiu-jitsu person in the world, but you actually hate people? And or you know what I mean? You just don't get along with people. You may be just incredible. That's going to permeate through the gym. There's going to be, it seems like the school takes on the qualities of the instructor.
Yeah.
And if this person is aloof and really doesn't talk to people, doesn't really like to have conversation, that's going to hurt the school. The school is going to have porous jiu-jitsu. I don't care how good your technique is. If you don't have you got to have that positive attitude. It kind of goes back to what we were saying about Justin Rader. He's so positive. It's easier to learn when somebody's so positive. And even if that person doesn't know as much as the world champion, but that attitude can make you a better teacher.
Who wants to take advice from somebody with a negative attitude?
Yeah. Who wants to hang out with somebody with a negative attitude? I stay away from people with negative attitudes. It just brings me down.
And if you don't have a good attitude, fake it for a little while.
Yeah.
And then after you're warmed up on the mat, it should switch automatically. At least it does with me. But you could fake a smile for a few minutes.
Yeah.
And
how hard is it to smile? It's not hard.
Not hard.
And I tell you, just by smiling, and I say this all the time, if I smile at everybody I walk by, and I'm kind of weird like this, I try to do this on some.
Yeah.
I'll be in the mall or whatever. I try to smile and say hi to everybody. It's kind of weird, but I just think that either people think I'm a pedophile, or what I'm trying to do is just put people in a good mood. I think the more people I smile at every day, just puts people in better moods. It may only last for a couple seconds, but maybe that person will smile at the next person. And I don't know, holding the door, just little things like that. Positive attitude, about training and about your students and co-students and co-instructors and everybody in the gym.
Yeah, that's how I met my wife. I smiled at her and we started talking.
See?
I got
works.
married out of the deal.
It works.
And she treats me good, so.
You can't beat that.
Hope she's not too upset with this deal that we got going, but but yeah, you never know when it's going to pay off huge, and it could help somebody else. Who wants to go around in a world where everybody's frowning all the time and having a bad day?
Yeah, that'd be terrible.
Similar thing is to be positive. Don't just go through the motions. Don't just well, this is, the third year I've taught, basic jiu-jitsu class. Here's how we're going to do an arm bar. Okay, this is your arm bar. You're going to learn this today, and you're going to be doing this arm bar for the entire time you do jiu-jitsu from white belt to black belt. That's a little more passion behind it. And people could do more passion than me, obviously, but you learn that arm bar, it's going to be with you.
Yeah.
And you watch black belt matches, you're going to see arm bars. And you're going to see the same move you're learning today in the UFC. You know?
You talk about Samir. We interviewed there before. He's been doing the open guard.
Since he was Spider guard.
Yeah, Spider guard. He's been doing that for forever. It's all these moves we have. There's no moves that, as you move up the ladder, you're going to throw out and never use them again. Everything you've got, this arm bar, if you stick with this sport, which I hope you will, and I'm positive you will because you're going to love this so much, you're going to be doing this arm bar for the next 40 years. How cool is that?
Yeah. But you see what happened, Gary? We're talking about doing moves for a long time, but because I said it with a little bit of passion,
I'm
you
getting
lit
excited.
up and you started talking about having moves that last for a long time, because I didn't just say, well, you could, you learn a good arm bar and you get to do that for a long time. He is out.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I fell asleep there.
It's really not that comfortable in here.
Speaking of that, you gotta have a comfortable environment.
I'll know he's asleep and starts passing gas.
Another big thing is, you care about your training partners. Kind of like what we talked a little bit before is, learn the names of the new people. And, hey, I want to give a shout out to Sam. Guy I met today, his name was Sam. I had never met him before.
Oh, yeah.
I rolled with him for probably 25 minutes. So thank you, Sam. I hope you're listening, because we actually did tell him about the podcast, but that's what it is.
He does listen.
Yeah, I introduced myself, and you definitely want to do that. Get to know their life off the mat. I actually found out what he did for a living.
It's funny because I thought you had met him before the way you guys are talking.
Yeah.
Like that's the way to do it.
Yeah.
It wasn't like you were just being like polite, friendly. You guys were having a good time over there.
Yeah. I've made a new training partner and friend. So, but that's a big thing, and I hope he felt the same way about it as I did. I'm like, I made a new training partner, a new friend. We're going to learn from each other, and we all got to do that. It just makes everything that much more positive. Care about people.
Yep, absolutely. If you don't care about people, you're going to be a crappy leader no matter what you're going to do.
Yeah, you're going to be a crappy training partner. I need a training partner that cares about me. I need somebody who, when I'm in a bad position and I've got to go on vacation tomorrow, I don't want somebody to break my neck. When I tap, I want you to let go. If you got a really deep heel hook on me, which I hope you don't, I expect you to give me a chance to tap or even let go, just so that I can walk to work tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You could think of like somebody has like 100 students. Well, are they just numbers, or do you know these people's names?
Yeah. Do you know them by name?
That's way better of a relationship if you care about the people enough to know about them, to actually you learn their game. You're able to help them even more.
Yeah. I walked in the gym today, and first thing Jake said to me was, "How was your vacation?" This gym I went to the open mat at, I'm not even a member of that gym. I train open mat there. How great is that? They knew I was on vacation. I mean, that's a friend right there.
Yeah, we did throw a party at your house while you were gone.
I was wondering why it happened.
All that stuff.
But yeah, I just couldn't believe I had never even told him I went on vacation. He must have been looking at my Facebook page or talked to Byron or whatever.
So we talked a little bit about, if a good leader will be able to leave and not have it go crazy, like a teacher. Yeah, like you get a substitute. And
remember, you get the substitute,
and the teacher's not that strong of a teacher, not that strong of a leader, and this is like a free day anyway. Like, but you have a good, strong teacher that has some discipline in the class. Substitute comes in, you're behaved.
Yeah, because also, besides that's ingrained in you, the next day when your teacher comes back, you're going to get ripped.
Yeah. But a good leader, and like at work, they could be gone a day. If you can't take a day off and have the whole place fall apart, you got some people need to be able to that's a leader. Like ultimately, you should be able to train the person that replaces you and have them do as good a job or better than you're doing now.
Yeah, and how good does that feel? Like I know you take over the Friday night class a lot, the competition class. That gives the instructor a day off.
Yeah.
Where he can just kick back and relax. He knows his gym's in good hand, but how good that must make you feel great at the end of the day when you see people are learning, you know that you gave a good class and you allowed your friend to take a day off and relax and do whatever he needs to do.
And then think about like that is, okay, yeah, I enjoy, I don't teach a regular class, but the Fridays I'm available to, I'll teach a competition class. And so I'm getting better at teaching and leading a class, and he's taking a day off that he works all the time. So that's rough on him. Yeah,
it's great. It clears his mind up, gets him ready for the next day or whatever. And also, like you mentioned, teaching, it gets you better at teaching. But also, have you noticed like teaching gets you better at jiu-jitsu? I notice the more I teach, the better I get. I may be missing something when I'm rolling, but when I'm trying to explain it to somebody, I'm like, oh, wait, I do this. I need to make sure, maybe my thumb needs to be here or there. And I find the more I teach, the better jiu-jitsu guy I become. And I also get better at teaching.
So to make this more simple, instead of, you can't always hand off an entire class to somebody, but you can have students show techniques that they do well.
Yeah.
Even a lower belt. If they've got a good guillotine, okay, guys, today we're working on guillotines. I'm going to be working with Ted here, and I'll show it, and then Ted's going to show what he does. Everybody's felt it because it's a mean guillotine, so they really want to see Ted's guillotine more than mine anyway. Yeah. So. But that gives, Ted's never taught the entire class. Yeah. But now he gets a chance to, and he gets that experience.
Yeah, and it promotes that culture in that class that you were talking about earlier. It's the instructor's not afraid to have somebody else show you something.
Pass the baton.
And because I'm going to learn better if I pick everybody's brain instead of just getting 500 techniques from one person and all my knowledge comes from one person versus I'm going around and learning from everybody, and there's some people you probably don't want to learn from, the guy who just started and who's never done any combat sports or wrestling, but you still want to get to know that person, get to, introduce yourself and become friends with that person, but I just think that's really important to have the students show the techniques they're performing well. It helps the students out. It gives them confidence. And it's also very rewarding. I remember the first time when I was training that I used to like it when an instructor picked me to be the guinea pig and get beat up. But then I thought it was cool. That was early in my career. I always liked it when I got picked. I don't know why.
But then they were doing hip throws. Gary.
Yeah. But then I also thought it was cool when they'd be like, hey, can you show this move? I know you're good at it.
Yeah.
And man, that was kind of like the
that's leadership right there. You're good at it.
It was that pat on the back. It was that positive feedback.
Yeah, it's more than like a thumbs up. It's more like, okay, you're good enough at this to show everybody, show my students. That's a real endorsement by the instructor.
It just put a smile ear to ear, made you glow, and just made you feel good about it, and feel good about the whole culture of the gym.
Okay, we've got one last thing here. It's going to be a little bit different. It was from, this will be a little bit harder for me. My wife's mom, mother-in-law, Carol Johnson, she passed away here not too long ago, but she got a humanitarian award. She was a doctor, and she got the 2012 Kansas Humanitarian Award. And she gave this amazing speech, which it's online, it's written, but I didn't know it would be like the last time I'd be able to see a speech like this. So I didn't, I was at work. I should have gone. Yeah. But it was like, it was an amazing speech. She got this, her whole life. She worked so hard at helping people. And then a little bit later, once her kids grew up, she was able to travel. She went to Haiti, she went to Burma, and she helped these people that were struggling with health problems, and it was really able to do a lot of good. So she got this award, this Kansas Humanitarian Award, and she gave this really great speech. I'm going to read the last of it here. It's all like amazing leadership stuff, and it really fits in well, I think. But it really, when I read the speech, because I did miss it, so I had to read it. It's like, that is, she wrote this. Like, she is an amazing person, but like, this is like spot on. So here we go. I might not be real good at reading it, but I'm just gonna read it. And so let me set the scene for you. She's in a large room with many other doctors. That's the audience. Like hundreds of doctors in this room is what I'm picturing. I wasn't there, but I'm picturing a large room with a lot of doctors and some families. So here she goes. I know that I am no more well-educated, no smarter, no richer, no braver than any of you. You have everything you need, everything to go out and to serve, to help those who are poor, ill, injured, hurting, forgotten. You just need to do it, and you will find that the rewards that you receive are far greater than the things you sacrifice to do so. You are already so blessed, and you can be further blessed. I have been around the block a few times, and this is me as a side note. She did. She traveled the world and helped sick people. That's what she did towards the later part of her life. I have been around the block a few times, and I know that what really matters in this world. 3 things here. 1, relationships, not things. 2, what we do for others, not ourselves. And 3, one of her biggest things that she had, what we do for eternity for our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. This was Dr. Carol A. Johnson, receiving her 2012 Kansas Humanitarian Award. The whole speech is online, but look at her trying to lead this group of doctors to go out and to help people. That's what she did. Like she showed, I'm no more educated, richer, smarter, or braver than any of you, and I'm out here doing this, working hard, helping people. Yeah. You could do it too.
I like the part, you have everything you need. Everything you need to go and serve to help those who are poor, ill, injured, hurting, forgotten. You just need to do it. And then on top of that, like, if you do that, you'll realize what really matters. You may have that big house, that big car, a bank, account full of money, but, relationships, not things.
Yeah.
What we do for others, that's kind of what we've been talking about, not ourselves. Tell me, don't you feel a lot better when you help some, we're kind of talking about smiling, just as little as that, and what we do for eternity, our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. That is incredible.
And she gave this speech before she got sick, but that's something that relationships, not things. That's important. And a lot of people don't realize that before, like you're faced with a life-threatening illness, but it is relationships. It's not about when you're getting ready to die and you know what's happening, then it's easier to show, okay, who cares my car? Yeah. Look at my cars. It's so ugly. I'm surprised I got married. But, it's about relationships. It's not about things.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, you think about, do you remember what you got for your birthday or for Christmas in 7th grade?
No.
But I can guarantee you remember some of your friends in 7th grade.
That's a good way to say it, Gary.
That's what's really important. When I'm smiling at home or thinking about good times, I'm not thinking about that new CD I got or whatever. I'm thinking about, man, that was fun when we took off to the lake, or we went out to eat at Applebee's or whatever. It's just little things like that. The relationships are key. That's awesome right there.
All right, well, that wraps up our episode this week, talking about leadership and developing a learning environment. I hope you guys learned some stuff, and hope you're motivated to help your gym grow and to really get out there and go to work. Don't, like you said, relationships, not things. So, I mean, our whole leadership thing could be about developing good relationships with people.
Yeah, I like that, how we ended up with that. And that's basically it. This article was about relationships. And Byron and I have been around a long time doing this. And, when we first started, there were no schools in the Midwest. They were all just in California or whatever. Jiu-jitsu is like a virus, just spreading around the United States. It's just getting bigger and bigger. And, I guess it was like the 80s Taekwondo craze. And it's just neat to just see new schools opening up and, more people jumping, onto the jiu-jitsu bandwagon. And I don't know if that's a good term to use, but, let's just build relationships, Different schools have different have relationships with them. Just because you're at one school and the other, this ain't the Bloods and the Crips. We're here to, learn, help each other out. And, man, that really just put a positive, even a more positive spin on this episode.
All right, guys, next week, it should be a little bit lighter episode. I think it'll be a little funner. Not that this wasn't fun, but
this was fun.
We've got three analogies of some things that have nothing, or some 3 analogies to help you with the jiu-jitsu, basically. Something that an analogy is like if A goes to B, then an analogy would be like from C to D, like something similar, like parallel, but not at all like alike. Yeah. So this should be fun to go through, and I think it'll be a good learning exercise and stress some key points about jiu-jitsu for us. This is the BjjBrick podcast. You could find it on iTunes and Stitcher Radio, and also on BjjBrick.com. We do have a Facebook page, facebook.com/BjjBrick.
Please go to a page and like us. Any questions, comments, concerns, send us an email, bjjbrick@gmail.com. And, we appreciate getting all those. And I'll let Byron talk about how to get a BJJBrick gi patch.
That's right. We do have gi patches, and we're giving them away. Go to iTunes, give us a 5-star review, and then write some funny stuff on there. You should see at least one example of a funny review. Type it up, hit enter, and copy and paste it. Send us an email. Please be from the U.S. We really can't afford to be sending out international mail.
We're poor.
Patches. But we'll hook you guys up, international audience later with something else fun. But for now, this is just a promotion for the U.S. But Gary.
Yes.
Started an email list. So if like what this will do is every week when the show comes out, you'll get an email saying, "Hey, the show's out," basically, and it'll give you the show notes. It'll give you should be the pictures included in it. And I ran a test of it, and I sent out a blank email on accident to the entire list, which would be embarrassing. But there's 5 people on it, so it's really not that embarrassing. So if you're
one of those 5,
and I'm one of those 5, so really just 4.
So 4.
Apologize for the blank email a while back. I think I've got it figured out. I'm still a white belt at this internet thing, and we're not.
Well, he did get his first stripe.
Oh, thanks, Gary. Yeah. Nice.
Well, I don't think I can give you the stripe because I do no-gi radio.
No gi radio. Actually, I forgot to mention it last time. We had Ken Permola on, interviewed him. I don't know, it was about an hour, 15-minute interview, and then we chatted. I tell him, hey, after we say goodbye, hang on to the line. We'll talk for a couple minutes about how the interview went and stuff like that. So he hung on, and we started talking. And he starts just out of nowhere, hey, I saw my website, and I see this and that. You ever think about this? And he starts giving me advice,
That's
from
awesome.
the man. He knows way more about this than I do.
Well, what did we just go back to? What was our article about?
Leadership.
There you go.
He's
a leader.
He's taking me in as a little bit of a mentor role.
Yeah, helping us out. How we have a black belt in jiu-jitsu, leadership, and internet helping us out.
He stayed on the line for 25 minutes, and we just talked about how how the podcast was going. He gave me some good advice. How the website's going, and I wish I should have mentioned this in the previous episode about Ken, but hopefully
you're listening, Ken.
But it was just way above and beyond what I didn't expect. I was really happy he did the interview.
Yeah,
and he stayed on and really cared about me and talked about how to make things even better and look for more improvements. But so that's one thing. If you want to get a weekly reminder of the podcast, trust me, I'm not going to sell this list to some big company because it's never going to be that big of a list. It's going to be our friends that want to check out the podcast every week. And if we do, maybe give out something, that would be an easy way to throw out some offers to the email people as well. So that's the plan anyway.
We appreciate you listening, and definitely keep checking us out, and we appreciate everything.
Yep. So find some time to roll this week, guys, and we'll catch you next week.
Take care.
Thank you for listening. I hope you find the time today to roll. After all, the best way to get better at Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is to do Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.